So we give up. So you ask about why aren't people finding more peace? Why do they stop looking for their path? It's a tough road. It's the red road, as the Native Americans say. It's the red road. It's the straight and narrow, and we get pulled off to, in different ways and tempted. And the temptation is really good. It's really easy to just open your fridge and pull out whatever, and whatever sorrow you're feeling, medicate with food or medicate with medication, or easy. We've made life so easy to get out of showing up.
Hi, my name is Zenka Caro. I'm founder of LightNet and the Holo Movement Purpose Lab. And my passion and purpose is to remove the word impossible from our minds. And Karuna, our next guest, which means compassion, by the way, and she's incredibly tuned in and compassionate. It's almost like when she meets people, she can see through them, and in such an empowering and interesting way. She is a trained Kundalini Yoga practitioner. She studied for many years in India, Buddhism and Hinduism, and she also sees yoga as a total way of life. And she teaches everyone from schools to the Kundalini Research Institute to one-on-one sessions to weekend retreats. And she talks about yoga being an entire way of life. She's also studied with the Lakota Indians and is an incredible spiritual powerhouse. She lives in the middle of the woods and brings so much to our lives.
This purpose and passion is to always make people feel loved, always make people feel seen, always not me make them, but be that for myself so I can hold space and be the lighthouse, the forklift, if you like, for other people just to feel that. And they don't know what, why, or how sometimes, nor do I. But I search for the essence of what the conversation is really saying to us instead of what we're saying in the conversation, as if we were listening to ourselves. Allowing the words to come through, because they're all in there. And yet our mindset has been damaged in ways of not trusting that insight. So I want for everyone to open that third eye point, doing the strangest things to do so. It's not the massage yourself. It's the divine massaging you. So why do we always get in the way of awakenings when they're about to happen? It's that temple effect, that steeple. Our ego just gets, we're almost there. And then we think, that's good enough. And I'm like, why? Why is that good enough? It's not good enough. You're not dead. You let it be continuous and keep growing and experiencing, because it's forever changing. We have 11 moon centers, women. Every 2 hours, we're changing. Every 2 hours. So wahe to the gents that can live under this umbrella. Men and women live together for a reason. Men and men, women and women. We all find our tribe, and we all need to enhance it. And yet we get full of fear and judgmental because we need excuses from the past, maybe raised with, fear, and so we want to find our purpose in our lifetime. And we don't want to hesitate doing that. And even if you break your arm, you don't go to opioids. You don't go to, you say, oh, this is the divine making this arm adjust my whole DNA, my whole way of thinking, and allow her, you have to, in 9 seconds, make a decision. And if you don't have that, wait, allow spaciousness. And in that 9 seconds, you can save lives. And when you put that Ad Gade Name, Jagad Gade Name, Sat Gade Name, Siddhi Gudu Deve Name around you, that's a protective shield. 9 feet in front of you and back of you from side to side. You're in this bubble. And you can be joy. You can. It's work. Self-love, self-care is work. But you can. It's possible for everyone, no matter what the condition. We turn everything into medicine, right? The fire, the moon, any stage of the moon, waxing and waning, we're all doing that all the time. Why do we have to be so perfect all the time? Let your blemish show. It's so sweet, isn't it? Instead of picking at it and making it worse. Just stop the behaviors, sit, breathe, has helped me find my purpose. And believe me, I'd rather run out the door. Like, see ya, ciao. It's a lot of work, but it's such pleasurable work because it really turns itself around pretty quickly. Instead of the sabotage, activate. Yeah. Instead of medicate, meditate. Hands down. Line them up. All those demons. Every morning before the sun rises. Because that's when they come out. That's why when we get up, we're like, super grumpy sometimes. Our system is spiraling counterclockwise when we're sleeping, digesting. Our diet has to be super clean. That doesn't mean I'm a vegan or I'm a vegetarian or I'm a carnivore. It just means how are you digesting your food? Because if your gut brain isn't working with your head brain and coming from your heart brain, we're missing something. We're out of balance. How I got to where I am with my yogic practice. Survival, second chakra, negative mind. Can't believe people are like this. Seriously? No one's like this. Where did all hatred come from? Where did all this, it's not even sadness, where did all this anger come from? So I started looking at myself. And when I was in my first career as a model, the most beautiful, stunning exteriors walked through the door, sat next to me. And if there was any kind of envy, jealousy, I thought so quickly early on in my career that I have to change this. If there's something I don't like about myself. I could see the mirror early on. Since I'm about 8 years old, I could see the sensitivity. So yoga stepped in, New York City, the Integral Center. I just happened to have an apartment right next door. God always survives me or surrounds me for survival. In everywhere I've lived. I mean, even in Paris when I started, I was always in these amazing spaces and I thought, how in the world could I be so lucky? And luck is relative. It's a way a young woman would think, there's something else divine besides, and I had no way of understanding death. I had no way of losing my own, self in sadness. I had no tools to understand it. So when I became a vegetarian when I was 16 because I didn't like my complexion and I didn't like what I was looking like and feeling like. And I had no idea about a career in front of me. I was just Boulder, Colorado girl, barefoot and just cooking at McDonald's. I can't even say it. Not to say they're not making veggie burgers now, but they weren't at the time, and so I was fired from that job. And because I made a vegetarian sandwich and they caught me or something and said, "Oh, you can." But I bought my first bicycle then, and it got me around. So I've always had this way of getting somewhere, and I knew somehow inside of me that, bless my mother for raising her, 4 children on her own, doing 3 jobs. I couldn't ask her for a new bike to get me around. So I had to go and get a job early and get that vehicle to move me. And it was so joyful that I was independent, but scared. So going to New York, Paris first and then New York, was like very scary. So one has to realize that, there's a lot to do with those jobs that were offered me and why they offered me that particular job. And one of them was, there was so much, people would come up on the street and say, "You make me so happy." And I remember that day when somebody saw me and on the Merv Griffin show. And it was like, oh, so there's always this and there still is that about receiving a compliment. But now I know it's not about me. At the time I didn't understand, but now I know through yogic practice that it's all the divine. Feminine, masculine. It's you, especially us and we now, that we can go into, and the comfort zone of the teacher sometimes puts you into a very harsh teacher to really, show you the ins and outs. When I started getting insightful, more so than I was years before, I would realize that I probably won't get that blanket that I need after doing a photo shoot for, the New York Times at the time in January on the beach in a bikini. They're not gonna care about me when I go back into that Winnebago at the time, and whether I'm cold or not, I have to care about me because it's not about that issue. It could be about something so much deeper, not being held, heard, listened to. And so yogic practice, voice work, learning to chant, learning to sing first, dance, brought all this awareness, body awareness, that I didn't have to worry so much about eating disorders. Although not all of us have an eating disorder. And so it teaches us a lot. Ourselves teach us a lot. We are, finding the teacher within and trusting her. I don't think it's wrong. I think eventually, because of the work we're doing now and the awareness we're bringing in, we'll hit that goal for them. I think more and more people from today on in this Aquarian age has a chance. In the old Piscean age, the Kali Yuga, we're going into the Sat Yuga. We're going into the love, the peace. Satnam means truth is my identity. Satnam, namaste. We're going into that. We've tried to in different other ways over the decades and decades, but we're making mistakes on it. So we give up. So you ask about why aren't people finding more peace? Why do they stop looking for their path? It's a tough road. It's the red road, as the Native Americans say. It's the red road. It's the straight and narrow, and we get pulled off to, in different ways and tempted. And the temptation is really good. It's really easy to just open your fridge and pull out whatever, and whatever sorrow you're feeling, medicate with food or medicate with medication, or easy. We've made life so easy to get out of showing up. So wake up, grow up, clean up, show up, right? To show up, to open up, to lift up. So it's our job to be in the face of others, even if they go, oh no. But it doesn't matter where we go, she's always there. The duplicate resources that remind you now, you're so divine, you're so beautiful. I love that you want to do everything on your own and you believe you're good enough, and because that's where we start. But there's more. There's more in people, to answer your question. The first, to be honest, lazy, privileged. We have to, women, relationships, out of balance. Women have a hard time leaving that. It's very convenient. I can't live without love. I remember when I was younger, I was like, oh, I can live without love, it's fine, as long as I have this, this, and this. And then love came in. And I was like, no, we can't live without love. Kundalini Yoga is the science of awareness. So my book is called Light on Kundalini, and it's the yoga of awakening. It's a lifestyle, life cycle book on my experiences of how through the stages Kundalini Yoga has helped me through this last decade of awakening. So the other yogas prior that I've done, 30 years of them, got me to a stage where I could sit with Kundalini Yoga and long to develop a relationship with my brain and my third eye point and my navel, because that navel, that second chakra, we work with the 7 chakras, although there's a lot more chakras. Then we work with the 8th body, which is prana, 9th body, subtle, 10th body, radiant. So we go through the 10 bodies. So the first body's soul, second body's negative mind. So when the hips hurt, the navel point, I started with this rotation, because when we wake up, we're anti-clockwise. So we rotate clockwise, and we find 3 minutes is enough. 3 minutes changes your electromagnetic field. You become yourself. Hi, I'm present. I don't need 500 coffees. I'm good. I'm thirsty, actually. I just need a lot of water. And this gives you, and because we teach in white most of the time, or we think we're in white, if we're not, it's a radiance. It's the radiance body, the 10th body. So we go from the first soul, tailbone. So we move the tailbone with 3 exercises. We ground the hips with the 2nd chakra. We move into the 3rd chakra, which is solar plexus. So now 1st, 2nd, 3rd chakra grounded. Before you even start the meditation and yogic practice, we open up the chest, so we spread the wings wide and open the heart, right? We move the energy so it spirals, as I said, up the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. We get to the throat. We chant, Satanama, Satanama, Satanama. Opens us into taking you in there. The chanting. So we're not so gossipy when we leave the room. We're not really chatty when we leave the sadhana. The sadhana, before the sun rises, gives you the capability of hearing and listening, seeing how you're doing. Throughout your whole day, it stays with you, that sadhana. If you look at people that do a sadhana, you see it in their eyes. If you can do a sadhana, which is the Aquarian sadhana, which starts with Japji, the song of the soul, Guru Nanak, and you just listen, 20 minutes. Then you move the body, and I love the 10 bodies. So you move through all the 1st, 2nd, 3rd chakra, 4th chakra heart, 5th chakra voice, 6th, 3rd eye point with Waheguru, 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 soul, all my soul, all my soul. 7th body radiant, our aura, 9 feet in front of me, below me, from side to side. Where am I? 8th body prana, 9th body subtle. So you can hear, you can rest all day long, and you can trust in your decisions on how you want to do any part of your day. And then the 10th body's radiant, and you walk with grace. And you look great. You look great. From the inside out. And the silence that you feel from Kundalini Yoga, because the 81 facets of the mind are on Humanity's Stream. Awakening the 10 bodies are on Humanity's Stream, and Sacred You. There's so many courses I've filmed for people because, a toolkit. I believe you must have a toolkit. I found that out at age 36 in my 18 cycle, my second 18 cycle. 18 cycle, 18 years. Everyone has a cycle. 7 consciousness, 11 years old intelligence, 18 lifestyle, life cycle change. Good time to get married. Good time to make really firm decisions. 18, 36, plus another 18, and so on, right? But that intelligence cycle, that 11, gives you that capacity to trust. I'm developing, I'm maturing, I'm a better person. Why? Because I'm doing breath of fire with Kundalini Yoga. I'm pumping that navel. So prana is super aggressive, but subtle, 9th body. So 8th body, 9th body connect together. And the subtlety, so you don't have to hold your arms up for 11 minutes anymore. You're already beyond that. You don't have to bend over backwards and try to become a pretzel. Our Western bodies don't like that. They're in India, when I went to, when I changed my life after Paris, New York, suddenly now 7 years in India. Every year, going back for more torture, But walking on the Mata Ganga by yourself, not gossiping, not around, just figuring, dipping in her and coming back out. The Mata is rough. She flows so hard that they have chains to hold you, for you to hold and to hold you so you don't go down the river. And it's very, very awakening. It's the fire energy in the second chakra. And so we don't want to live in the second chakra. So you say, how do you change the world to make it a more peaceful place? Get everybody to do breath of fire. Because when you pump your navel, it starts to really get all the aggression out of you. And it's not the one and only Kundalini Yoga breath, which is misinterpreted as that's that funny breath. No, it's just you start to become very sophisticated and I do it this way. I do it correctly, but it suits me this way to do this breath. Not the way, that so many other people are working through so much other stuff in Kundalini Yoga classes that you cannot look at them because they are not you. So you learn how to be discerning with Kundalini Yoga. And it teaches you, there's 4,000 kriyas. It's Hatha Yoga, but matured. And the system of it, is timed. But then you have, like you said, your inner clock. You have your inner clock. You don't even need to time anything anymore. That's good. That's a really good thing because you're not stuck to a device. You're relying on your self-reliance. And this opportunity to add this practice to another practice is open. You don't have to be stuck. So it unleashes you, it sets you free, liberates you. And the appetite changes. You can't go on eating that hardcore stuff if you want to be a yogini. You can't digest it anymore. Your awareness changes, your kindness comes in, and you don't want to harm. So there's a lot of understanding and compassion that goes with this, and the meditations are heightened. They're not you sitting there 2 hours. You don't have to sit there for 2 hours anymore. You can get something done in 3 minutes. Highly recommend. So Light on Kundalini is my book, and I've done a manual as well with a lot of beautiful pictures that I posed and took at a pond with a professional, and so we're composing these 2 beautiful books right now. So they're going to launch in about 4 weeks. So I'm really excited about that, and I think you'll really love the cover. Yeah, it's very outrageous. And so is the information. But it takes a village, my sis. It takes a village. When you want to run, sit and listen. What advice would I have for people looking for their purpose? When you want to run from it, it's calling you. Answer the phone. It's like, I'm trying to get a hold of you. Come on, you've got to make an effort. If a cigarette smoker picked up every time he reached for a cigarette, he would know, I'm finding my purpose, I don't need it. And you just let it go. Alcoholism, just let it go. When we do things consistently with devotion, bhakti, We find a way through every block. And we know cigarettes are not good for you. We know alcohol is not good for you. You don't have to define it in yourself any longer. I'm not participating at the moment. Thank you. And there's a struggle. Certainly there's a struggle with that because we're in a habit. So to change your habit, do a 40-day meditation. Satanama, Satanama. Balances all your tattvas. What are your tattvas? These fingers. Ego, Jupiter, Saturn, right? Saturn. Yeah, Saturn, Saturday, Saturn. He comes in. Watch the cycles of the moon. Watch the energy and the frequency and the vibration around Saturn. Find love instead. People don't look at their anger much more when they figure out, oh, yeah, my ancestors were super angry and I'm here to change that behavior. I'm going to take responsibility. Sun finger, ring finger, sun, energy, vitality, stamina. Hold it. Hold the mudra. Yeah. And if you're going into a meeting, hold Mercury, your pinky, and put her in your lap. Yeah, and you just sit there with it and you listen to everyone so much more clearly and ask yourself, do I want this job anyway? Taking that step to finding what makes your heart really beat. Like, what is that? You know, my body secretes, right? It's talking to you all the time. Are you listening? Do a lot more movement. You won't be so lazy. You might find little pains here and there, but they're shifting you. Your back goes out. Oh, I need more support. I'm not asking for enough support. You know, and it's not at all ethereal. It's true. It's the science of the brain. It's how Satanama works for elders. Get them to chant Satanama. It's very difficult with arthritis and arthritic pain, and to do the mantra and use the tongue, Satanama, Satan, and you walk with it with a cadence. And then the mindful step, right? Mindful meditation balances the right-left hemisphere of the brain, and then it brings you to solace. Patience pays. Let the hand of God, they say. Patience, hands down, no one has tolerance for patience. And all we want is tolerance and patience. Because patience is timeless. It will eventually, you'll break through. And if you're listening, you'll break through. Why can't I lift my arm like that arm? And patient, because you're healing, right? If the arm's broken, you're healing. Give it a minute, or a month, or 3 months. But do not medicate. It's too easy. Because the pain talks to you. It loves you so much. And this yogic, any yoga practice, the science of yoga is phenomenal. Coming out with, the idea that, yes, I do know that. I do feel that. I recognize that. That looks super familiar. Like a beautiful shining face. The eyes, you've seen those eyes before. And they're looking right back at you. And they're saying, you're beautiful, you're bountiful, you're blissful. No one, like you said, the 90% do not believe that. How? Because the pattern. So we change the pattern with 40-day meditation. Consistently continue. You don't have to do it at the same time, but you just sit and just scroll through your fingers and just allow. And you always go back to the index finger. And you can do this with a lot. You can just do it on your own and find balance. Well, you have to walk your talk. So I say to the student, thank you. You've had such an effect on me to make me live my purpose. And you've inspired me by asking me really amazing questions that were so brave of you to ask. That were so worthy of you to lift yourself up and grow and change and want more and get out of that relationship in a kind, compassionate way. So I feel if I'm kind and compassionate, Karuna means compassion. I thought that was such a lovely gift from Varanasi, to receive this name. Little did I know when it meant compassion. The many looks of Durga, Kali, all the goddesses came through and said, oh, we need to turn you into Kuan Yin. Oh. So there's a huge murti in my hall, in my house. As you walk in, and I go, thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your mercy and your compassion. So I think that kind of, if I can offer you love, trust, not with any concepts or whatever you want. I mean, that looks like a concept, right? But it's actually just working on your brain. Something's got you pumping your navel, breathing. Something's got to change you, even when you're Pema. She admits that when, she needed to react differently to a student, she's sorry for turning her back on a student. And this is Pema Chodron, and she's looked at as, very saintly Buddhist teacher, and she's amazing in all her books, but none of us stopped short of learning and forgiving. So sometimes we make, one thing we don't want to do is ever turn our back on a student or mix the teachings with any kind of pleasure. The teachings are the teachings. And that's where I come from. And I'm very, very aware of the mistakes from other teachers. I've continued to work on myself, to love myself, to be alone enough on top of a mountain when there's a big windstorm and you think the whole house is going to blow down, or there's a bear or some 4 feet of snow, or what. The elements of nature will come back and teach you how to be her if you embrace her and befriend her. So releasing your fear. I mean, I never lived on a mountain alone, and I'm there now 30 years. Hello, it's like, who am I? I'm really just experimenting and experiencing. Kind of fake it till you make it. Don't you think? I mean, it's kind of fake it till you make it. Kind of say, oh, the angels dressed me today. Thank you. I call them my unemployed angels. I love my unemployed. I'm like, how did this house get so clean? I didn't do it. Whereas I did do it. You did do it, actually. You actually did do it on your hands and knees. You know? What would the world look like if we were all in the same trajectory of love? It would look like this. There would be no suffering. There would be no war. There would be no outrageous people killing and doing all that stuff we're witnessing. It's worse than it ever has been because it's at the pinnacle of dropping it. And it always gets super dark. So the world would look so light, so bright, that everybody would just be helpful to each other. If you had an accident, if you had, an extra, hand, when you needed that, one would just show up because everyone would know, not being in everyone's business, but they would just be told, call Karuna, call whoever it is. But yet we're so confined to this idea of only my family, only this section can go with this section, races, all this judgment. So that's what categorizes us and compartmentalizes us and puts us in this where we start believing that's us. So there's no openness. When I went to Paris, I would walk around the corner and I'd go, hi, to anyone. And then, boom, bonjour. Or not even a friendly hello. And, I started shaking my inners. And I was like, oh, so mean. And yet my high came from, my upbringing. So we have to go back and look at that 7-year-old. And we have to embrace our inner child. Because if we don't speak to her, in my case, she's going to be like kicking you in the shin, going, I don't feel safe here. It's a part of us. So I love this interview because it's such it just makes me want to just really look at the parts that didn't work for me. More than make me feel I'm being watched or I'm being witnessed, or because we're all in that. So what? Be light. Be the lighthouse. Walk the straight and narrow red road. Try not to get distracted. Don't fill your belly so full that you feel miserable after an amazing meal. Take a little, chew more. Chew, 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 chew. Chew 52 times a piece of broccoli and it turns sweet. It's amazing. And so if we all ate together and slept, we'd sleep so much more peacefully. In a way, with a way of integrity, of dignity, of grace, politeness. It's all the things we have in us. But we have to, it's like turning on your phone on and on. You've got to recharge the battery, or it dies. And then I think when we do ascend, we've got such a ceremony to have and a celebration. But stage by stage, trip by trip, adventure, but all these things start just making that package so beautiful. All the bullies that bullied you early on, they've become teachers, you know, and they tell you, oh, you know, thank you, you're my teacher. And so it's not your fault that you're not there yet. Don't rush. Enjoy the process. Take more baths. Sit in Epsom salts a lot. And let it just sweat out of you. You've got to move the body. And you've got to relax the body. And you've got to live in peace and not pieces. And that's an order. In order.
Are you looking to begin your life of passion and purpose? We are waiting for you with our groups of 8 to 12. These loving teams are formed to look over our success data to find the fastest and funnest and most direct way for you to find your purpose and calling in life. To find out more, go to holomovement.net/purpose.